Good morning, everyone. We are warming up or for you are used to this weather anyway. I'm Dunya Ahmed from University of Bahrain, and I'm going to give this presentation with my colleague Dr. Mohammed Haji, who is the founder of the concept of inspiration economy. And for you as an economist, maybe this concept even is interesting for you. Our lecture today is going to be about steering toward changing for a better socio-economy. And I'm sure that you're all aware about the word socio-economy as an economist, and you know how important is it now to merge and think of the holistic things more, and how the social aspect is very important to affect the economy, and how economy is affecting the social aspects. And you can't separate them now together. You can't say that I'm going to address one of them without addressing the other, because they work together. So this is going to be our lecture today. This is a brief about us as an IIE. We are International Institute of Inspiration Economy. We work on lots of things. We have our Journal of Inspiration Economy, which is an international academic journal, which have lots of editorial board from around the world, and few even from Bosnia. We have our institute in Slovenia. We have lots of forums. Our last forum was this summer in University of Bihac. And we do inspiration labs. We study the best practices and lots of other things that we work around to bring this concept around the world. And the most thing that we are working in, it's what we call a youth economy, because we believe that this is a new branch coming up, and youth is a real economy coming now. I mean, after moving from a knowledge economy, now it's more about an inspiration economy and youth economy, and the aging economy anyway, it's coming up, and we can see it growing more and more around the world. So this is just a brief about us. Now, what is a socio-economy? We believe that between inspiration and socio-economy, it's the currency of inspiration. You can't work into the inspiration without coming across the socio-economy thing. And that's why we think that in inspiration economy, if we study economy, we improve the society. And to improve the society, we need to study economy. And that's what I was saying, that they are so connected to each other. And in inspiration, we work in the three levels that we work in. We work in inspiring individuals that should inspire and work in their organizations, and organizations that affect the society. So we don't work only in one and ignore other, because the most important thing in inspiration economy to do the change for the whole society. And to do the changes for the society is through individual and organization. And so that's why we work on the different sectors that we have in the society. We work with the private sector, government sector, and the NGOs. And as you know, the non-government NGOs are now more and more growing in the world, and they are the more strength. They are even more stronger than the governments, because they have the power to change and put the governments and put them. And even they are affecting the private sector, and that's why now the private sector are trying to support more the non-governmental sector. The important about it that it's all about the human-based economy that we are talking about within the inspiration economy. And this is our logo in inspiration economy. And what we mean by our logo here, that everything in life we don't work in a growth that goes in a straight line. We work in development, and there is no developments that go in a straight line in economy, and you've studied a lot about it. It always goes through these cycles that you need to go, and you will find here, you are going to observe and observe. The more you see opportunities, you go higher, and then more obstacles will come, and then again you will go higher. The most important thing that it continues to go high, but there are always challenges that will bring you down. So the first mindset that we work in when we start is just awake our mindset through observation. We observe the things. And the most two important words in inspiration economy, it's observations and opportunities. We believe the economy, the power of economy comes of two things. You observe things, you see the opportunities, you grab it, you do it, you finish the cycle, and then you go through another cycle of observation and opportunities. So, and that's why then your mindset gets ready for this exercise, and you develop your mindset to explore the more new opportunities coming up. So, and here we identify the emerging needs that we want, we define the capacities, and the more we go and higher, the cycle gets smaller. This is the most important thing that we believe in, that the more you get expert to it, you get it more smaller, but you develop the things and you don't work only in the growth. So the indicators that we work in, it's none of that measures any of the growth. That's mostly lots of other economists just measure. We work only in developments more, mostly about it. Okay, and here where I was talking about that in each cycle that we work in, because we work in a social impact influence, and we work in social impact, we work in outcome, we don't work only in results, and always the partners, as I was saying, private government and non-governmental organization are the main partner that we work in and how we work in the development things. The most important thing is that all the changes that we work in need to be healthy, profitable. In inspiration economy, you try to work without resources, without power. You try to observe the opportunities available, and through that you work. You don't work from the powers come from outside. So the most important thing about the model on inspiration economy and socio-economy, that's a model that should be independent, doesn't depend on others. We work with the three sectors, government, private, non-governmental, but we don't wait for a change from a government to do the change. It's you create the change that affects the other. So this is like the dilemma that we work in. I think from here you can take over.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for coming to this lecture. We're very happy to be here in the Economic College and School. We believe that it's a very important concept that should be introduced to you. We've been here in Bihac since July, and we did lots of work with the youth economy, inspiration economy. We did lots of projects, and what Dr. Dunya was trying to tell you is that there is now lots of economies coming up, different than the normal economy that you study. So there is the entrepreneurship economy, innovation economy, learning economy, and we are working on knowledge economy, and we are working on my PhD is about knowledge economy. But since I finished my PhD, I've been working a lot with the concept of inspiration economy. We use the intrinsic powers of the people, of the humans, in order to change their societies. And I think this is something very important that Bosnia needs. And for that, we did more than 30 projects in Bosnia with different organizations, with their government, NGOs, and the private sector. Besides, we did the youth forum, which is popular, I think, now in Bihac here, because it has been attended by many students from Bihac universities. And we're going to do another forum, inshallah, in July 2017. As Dr. Dunya was trying to tell you, is that we focus on the public, the community, and the capitalist, which means the private sector, and in order to improve the competitiveness of the whole country in different way and in a short time without depending on resources. Even though Bosnia have lots of resources, water, nature, and so on, but we hear lots of Bosnians say that we don't have enough resources. For that, lots of people, they are migrating, unfortunately. But this is because of our we're not using our intrinsic power to see and observe. And we use only two methodologies, very simple methodologies, to enhance the economy. We use observation and opportunities. And I'll just give you some examples later, is that how we use that quickly. And there is lots of case studies you can see in our website in detail. Dr. Dunya was trying to tell you is that inspiration currency is similar to socio-economic currency. What he means that we can really change any society not depending on resources. For example, in healthcare, we can cut down costs by minimizing what? How can we cut costs in healthcare? Because government, they spend lots of, you as economists, I'm sure that you know that what is the highest thing that is spent by government?
Money.
Yeah, that money is the way they use it. But what are the highest thing that is government spent on? Spent on what? Healthcare, right? And the second one? Education, right? This is the highest thing that governments, besides military, right? This is usually the three areas where is most government spent. And I think, especially for Bosnia, we can see clearly that your government is spending a lot in education. But the return on education, return on healthcare is always questionable, because lots of people is becoming more sick with time, right? There's lots of people that are not living a quality life. So the measure here that we do in inspiration economy, we measure the outcome. We don't measure the result. So governments usually say, for example, that much patient you have treated. Is this the right measure? No, right? It's supposed to be how many patients that was not patients. Means how many people they didn't come patients. So the less the number of people they go for hospitals, the better it is. So and this is again something that is not noticed or not clearly utilized in our measurements of economies. We are encouraging, for example, that utilization of beds supposed to be faster. So patient does not stay in hospital. Now we know sometimes lots of hospitals, including Bihac Central Hospital, that people are waiting for beds, right? And why they're waiting for beds? Because there is limited number of beds. But if beds were utilized in a proper way, in protocol and so on, or the patient were discharged in the right time, will minimize the number of beds. For example, in certain countries we have minimized the number of beds by just changing the bed like the hotel. So just using the hotel, what they use, day or time. The hotel, they tell you, for example, you leave tomorrow. Do they tell you leave tomorrow just like that, or they put time?
They put time.
Time. And what is the time usually now? 12 o'clock, or in certain European countries is 10 o'clock. Okay, so they are reducing the number of time so that they utilize the bed more. And this is, by the way, the measures that we are talking about in socio-economy. So we should use these socio-economy measures in order to enhance the currency of the country. So the country will be more inspired. So we'll feel that lots of things we can do in our country, and we measure things in different way. We are taking, for example, 5 projects with Bihac University and with the students like you. And I think some of the students may be here, or I'm not sure which year you are in, but we have students from economic school also, they participated. 5 projects that usually this is government projects. Number 1 is fighting gambling. We cannot fight gambling. Gambling is a lot in Bihac and everywhere in Bosnia. Okay, especially Bosnia is the highest country that is having number of gambling shops. But what we can do, we can make models that to show with the currency of inspiration we can minimize the impact of gambling. Okay, by making, for example, a model schools that will have its students that became, gambling-free students. And this is one of the projects that we are doing in Bihac. Other project we are doing relevant to voluntary. We have lots of youth that, for example, they think voluntary is wasting of time. Giving time for NGOs waste of time. Even though from our studies, we did 17,000 study on students. And we found that students that are inspired, those who give their time to voluntary work. They give time to Red Cross, Marhamat, Nisto Club, and we are working with these now to enhance the number of people that is going through voluntary. Other projects is mitigation of migration. Bosnia, you cannot live like this. Everyone just think, since he's young, we're asking children in your kindergartens till high school and till university, not only in Bihac, and even in Sarajevo, we ask them, are you staying in Bosnia? 69% they are saying, from our calculation, we ask a lot of people, okay, that we are going to migrate. And this is something very dangerous, because you're going to have a brain drain. And so you'll have instability in your country, and the country will be like an elderly home. The people who want to retire, they come back to Bosnia. If you don't do anything to your country, you'll end up even losing your identity. Maybe you'll do something for yourself now, maybe you'll make more profit, but you'll not be, by the way, having quality of life, because you'll feel that you left your country and so on. So there is, we're taking such projects and other 2 projects, for the sake of time, the other 2 projects اللي هو كانوا عن
quality of life.
Yeah.
So we are working with
Marhamat to reduce the number of the poor youth, because we notice in Marhamat 40% of those that in Marhamat list, they are under the age of 45, which is they shouldn't get support. They're supposed to be depending on themselves. Okay, and the last one, remember it?
Values, migration, entrepreneurship.
Yeah, the entrepreneurship. Again, doing projects more to enhance the entrepreneurship. Again, lots of students now, if they don't find a job in the government, they say the government is not helping us. While the trend all over the world, and this is what made America come back again after they had a financial crisis, most of the countries of the world, they are going towards what? Entrepreneurship spirit, right? So entrepreneurship means that you become job creator. you find opportunities. And I can tell you, sitting in Bihac for about 5 months, there is hundreds of opportunities. Okay, and I am willing to invest with these opportunities. I'm talking about even individual. Why? Because lots of opportunities. Ecotourism, for example, can find 100 type of opportunities in itself with this beautiful country and so on. So there is lots of things that is can be done relevant to the currency of inspiration. We can influence our countries, not impact it. We can influence others by doing these projects. Yeah. So as I said, we start with first of all building positive concepts inside the organization and letting them see the observation. Then create supportive environment. So we create people, groups, and this is what we are doing. We're doing, for example, with different organizations. Yesterday we were in Sazin Islamic School. In the afternoon we were in Nahla, and so on. Every day we go to 3 places where we start projects. And yesterday we started a project with high school students. Usually high school students, they don't have entrepreneurship projects. So yesterday when the boys started a company for honey, and the girls started a company for cakes. Okay, and they are going to compete. So we gave them, when we gave them the 100 km, we gave them only 100 km, they started to feel that there is something they can do with this 100 km. Because next week I told them, we want to see this 100 km to be doubled, and so on. And this is something that we can do in our community. And I'm sure you heard about Muhammad Yunus, right? Did you hear about Muhammad Yunus? No? Grameen Bank, which is the bank of the poor. Okay, that he started to give only $3 for each family, and they started to grow and became now the most popular concept of entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship. So for you as economist, you can do lots of things in your country to move the country and to move the society from being scarcity. Now everybody thinking about himself. Oh, I'll migrate, or if I don't find a job, oh, someone is not helping me, the government is not helping me, the politicians are there is corruption and so on. But you can talk from today to tomorrow about this. Even if you go into politics, either you'll be corrupted, or you cannot change something very quickly. Okay, so not the solution is to find it with someone else. The solution I find it within myself, and this is what is even Quran tells us. Most of you Muslims, I think, and Quran tells us that you cannot change the self unless you change others. You change yourself. You can't change others unless you change the self. Which means that you should move from scarcity and that things are only limited, the opportunities are limited, to see the world is full of opportunities. This is what is the abundance economy is talking about. And then the inspiration economy, we are talking about sustained impact on the society with minimal resources, as Dr. Dunya is saying. The real change is that you do something with minimal resources. It's not only to bring investors here, but to start something from these few dollars that can change your economy. And we have found that this is really a very strong concept. We have now managed to go into 3-4 countries outside the region of Gulf region, and we started to find that this can help a lot of societies' values to be developed and renewed also in different ways. We can start with small community, with entrepreneurs, with the groups, with organization, with government, and with the entire society to take such projects by using these 5 steps. Okay, so this is our main framework. First step is that we use the method of observation. Through proper observation, we find opportunities. Through linking things together, we start to find opportunities, and we start to explore. Once we explore, we start to prioritize the things. Which one, for example, for the team that is taking the gambling, it's called the values team. There's lots of values need to be corrected in any society, not only in your society. Okay, for example, alcohol, drugs, gambling. They did a survey. Then they said no, we'll take the gambling. Okay, because the gambling can affect other things and so on. So prioritizing things also is relevant to why you chosen such a project. Then you start to work on the mindset. How to do projects relevant to changing the mindset. Mindset means about what? What is did you hear the word mindset? Yes? It's made of what? What is mindset? Anyone? Thinking? No. So mindset is not thinking. Mindset is made of 4 things. Okay? One of it is assumptions. Your assumptions, your paradigms. Okay? Then the behavior, the attitude, and the behavior. Okay? Your attitude means how you think about things in a certain way. You'll get angry, but and sometimes you hit someone. This is attitude and behavior. If you get angry and you don't hit someone, then your attitude is bad, but your behavior is okay because you control yourself. So this is an example of things that we can really control the mindset. So changing the mindset is not easy. Changing the mindset, we need to create models, and for that we focus in inspiration economy, creating better models. So these projects that we told you about, the 5 projects, is an example of models can be done by youth, and it's done by youth. It's not done by people. Some of the youth, for example, the voluntary team, they are at the age of 18 and below, okay, from high schools of Bihac and so on. And then we start to spread the practices. But through having this cycle, we start to create what we call it, solving the problem of socio-economy in different ways. See, one of the challenges that we have today is that people, they are using the right mindset, not the human mindset. What's the difference between the rat, the cat, the chimpanzee? The nearest animal for us is what? The chimpanzee, right? It is very similar to our brain. But what is difference? What is the difference in the brain? The brain is made of 4 lobes, right? The brain is made of 4 lobes. Do you see any difference between the brain of the human and the brain of the other animals? No?
Human brain has the most association areas than the animal.
Excellent. The human brain is made of association areas, which is what? The frontal lobe. It's called the frontal lobe, which is this one. So the frontal lobe, as you can see, it is more than 100 times than the rat. It is more than 10 times than and then it's more than triple times than the chimpanzee. So the human frontal lobe is very important for us. Most of us, unfortunately, we don't do this association. We use mostly very minimal association in life. What is we've been trained on? And by the way, the most dangerous thing for humans is education. Okay? Because sometimes when you get educated too much, you think you know. And you forget the power of ignorance, which means, those ignorance sometimes, they try to associate things to solve problems. But sometimes because you study only logical and you think 1 + 1 always equal 1, you don't change things. Okay? Because you think that life always it is static. Life is dynamic. In order to solve complex problems, you have to associate things more. And this is why Einstein is there, Gandhi, Mandela, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. These people, they were very strong in associating things. Okay? Warren Buffett and these people who now are billionaires and they're changing the world. So it is the power of association we're talking about. And for that, the power of association is supposed to let us know that our livelihood, our rizq, and we call it in Arabic, which means that how we live and how we get our life different, is made of these 5 capitals, okay? The human capital, we have the social capital, we have the natural capital, we have the physical capital, and we have the financial capital. Unfortunately, most of us focus on only financial capital. Even what we are taught in economic school, mostly in financial capital. While there is the natural capital. I always say Bosnia is richer than Saudi Arabia, but people, they laugh at me. But I'm telling them, yes, water and forest and the wood is really something that is coming in the future. This is the ecotourism, and this is where is the water war people are going to fight for. So natural capital is very important. Physical capital is very important. My social capital. Lots of people, the entrepreneurs that are successful, they used only their social capital. Okay, they started to use their relation and their network. Okay, and they made a lot of money because of this issue. And then of course the human capital. If we start to see this and we create availability, means availability, we use this word availability, which means we enhance our capacity from each one of these, we can be the richest people. Because this is the definition between the rich people and the poor. There are people who have lots of money, but they are poor in their life and their mind. And they get suicide, right? Why? Because they see that they don't have enough relations, they don't have stability in their life, and so on. So the richness means, the wealthiness will be that you are having stability with this, and you work in your society, in your family, in yourself, in enhancing these. And for that, we are trying to move our communities from only focusing on fame, or getting family only, being stable, and so on, getting housing, to more moving, this is we call it classical economy, to moving to more advanced change economy, which means that we focus on knowledge and relations, which is today we call it knowledge economy. And what we talk about in inspiration economy is about how we create changes in our society that to become more independent. The more our societies depend on America, depends on oil, depends on only natural resources, and so on, then our society is not independent. The more we create a change in our society to make it more independent in its business model, the more we can really create sustained change in our economies. For that we say in inspiration economy, as I said, these people, Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, Umar ibn Khattab, these people who are from Muslim, Ibn Khaldun, which is, I'm sure you heard about, Gandhi, Einstein, Mandela, Jobs, all of these people, when we study their life, we see their life gone through spiral, like Dr. Dunya was trying to tell you in our logo. And it means spiral, they've gone through challenges. So the development of their life was the most important, not the growth. We might grow in body, but our mind will not develop. We might grow by having lots of money and having lots of villas, houses, and so on, but our attitude does not develop. Our way of solving problems in life does not develop. And this is what we focus on, inspiration economy, by studying these people's life and how they created a change and left an impact in their societies. This means that we need to really consider, and this is from our study, from this 17,000 students, we found out that those students who have take more challenges, live with obstacles, they get the stamina to persistence. They create the will to change their life in a different way and their society in a different way. And they get more integrity, they get more empathy in their mindset, they get more respect for their society and the others, and they accept whatever they are doing in a proper way, and they get really a better inspiration to their own society. This cannot come unless we start to do what we call the method of observation, as I said. We start by making people more curious. One of the things that we are not taught, the brain is made of, mainly, besides the four lobes, they are made of two hemispheres, right? Okay? The right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. What is the difference?
One is for the movement and the other is for the creation stuff, creation things. For example, it's called the colorful hemisphere.
Yes.
Because we do, that's what really, how to say it? That's something that describe, yes, I forgot the word.
Yes.
Because that's what describes our personality. If we're cheerful person,
Excellent.
if we're very curious, ambitious,
Yes.
do we have the power to do something that the other person doesn't have? And the other hemisphere is for movement, for eyesight, and
Excellent. So it is about two hemispheres. One is the right hemisphere is more relevant to what we call it science. Okay. The left hemisphere is relevant to humanities. So these two things is very important. And the more we integrate this, how we can integrate this? By being only more curious. You can't integrate them by just reading more stories here and doing scientific work or studying here. Okay. Your studies all is in one hemisphere, but reading stories is one in another hemisphere. How to integrate them together? By being like Sherlock Holmes. You know Sherlock Holmes? The film? Yes. So live Sherlock Holmes means you be more curious. Don't take things for granted. You should ask these questions that we ask. Why people are migrating? What can I do about this problem? The more I ask this, the more I'll be a scientist in solving migration problem. And I think we have one of your Professor Amela, I think from College of Law. She's working with us on doing these studies to improve this. So the more we are improve our curiosity, the more we can observe in a proper way and create a better economy. I'll just give you an example of one of the problems in Bahrain, how we tackle it. In Bahrain, we have what we call it non-communicable diseases, okay, which is available everywhere, which is what? Okay, the chronic diseases. What are the most chronic diseases that kill people? Diabetes, right? Then blood pressure, cholesterol, and in front of you, obesity. Okay, so these four things kill people. Okay, this is what the main source for cardiovascular, right? The heart stop because of these things. Okay, and especially as people they grow older or they don't live quality of life. Okay, now what we found out is that from just from the method of observation, And the ability to think about what we call it bull thinking, it means we don't accept that more people are, for example, Bahrain is one of the highest countries that have health centers. We have about each 4 blocks, we have one health center. We don't have only hospitals, but we have the most well-equipped health center in the world. So you have in health center everything you want, except sleeping in the health center. This is you can sleep only in hospitals. But what we found out, the more we are having health centers, the more we are having diseases. And this is what we call it the capitalist economy concept. Increase the health centers, increase the number of physicians and number of nurses, and diseases will come down. But did it reduce it? No. It actually continued to increase. But when we applied what we call it an inspiration economy, bull thinking, we started to say, no, we need now, it doesn't matter how many health centers we have. We are going to measure all the performance of Ministry of Health by the ability to discover how many non-communicable diseases, how many people going to have, blood pressure, diabetes, and so on. So when they started to measure in this way, the number of patients started to be reduced. So the population became to have a better quality of life. I'm talking about a project that was done 7 years ago, and now it had reflected a very good results in Bahrain in order to solve this. So you cannot solve complex problems by normal way. You cannot solve a complex problem by increasing resources. Sometimes reducing the resources and to improve the capacity. And this is what we call it. Most of the formula of economy is about what? Supply versus demand, right? This is what you have been taught in economy. While in our formula we say capacity versus demand. We are trying to improve the capacity of the organization, of the country, of the society, in order to reduce the demand impact. Same issue is for water loss in Bahrain. We had lots of water loss, and we are limited in water. We are an island. And Bahrain is a very small island. And this island, we take water mainly from either the wells, which we used to have some sweet water coming from the wells, and from the sea, because we desalinate the water. But not like, see, you are having how much, mashallah, you are fortunate by having this water everywhere and so on. In Bahrain, we are very, very limited water. And we found out there is a lot of water loss going through the pipes. Okay? Again, solving this problem couldn't be done by normal way. Again, we started to see what are the water loss and how it is lost. And people used to wait for water to come from the underground to explode till they solve the problem. But we started to do very intelligent way to minimize the loss of water even without seeing it that is losing it's or coming out of the outside the earth by using the quality thinking technique. These methodologies I have tried to put it in our 3 books that is available, 2 of them now today. This is coming up soon, which is Inspiration Economy and Inspiring Government, which I invite you to see or download. Some of them are available. This one is available on Bookboon. Whoever interested, bookboon.com. I'm sure you know about Bookboon. They have this book available. You can download it for you as a student. What else I wanted to tell you before we conclude here is that very important that you remember that you cannot solve your society problem without integrating with other. This is what I was trying to tell you. Without integrating with other things like psychology, sociology, having a lifelong learning. These are concepts that today are very important for economists to use in order to solve society problems through the method of observation and through the method of finding opportunities to solve your by doing this, you're going to increase the inspiration currency, and you're going to create better models for your society, and the society does not change by politicians only. Most of the societies you see that some of you are migrating or already lots of Bosnian migrated to, like Germany, like it's not done by only politics. It was done by NGOs and other people who created models, successful stories, and they change this very well. Maybe I'm not sure if you've seen this in Euronews recently. I just put for you a recent example. One of the refugees, the Syrian refugees, he found an opportunity by observation. What he found? He found lots of people are curious about these refugees. What is their problem? what is their, why they left their country, how they are living in Germany. So he made a company that is like you talk, like a walk tour. Okay, walk and you see the refugees' life, and every refugee can tell you about his story, and why he left his country. And by this he made a lot of profit. Okay, by just getting people that is more interested. So he used this problem. First of all, he solved two problems. First of all, he got money for these refugees and so on by having these tourists to come, a curiosity of the tourists to know what is the problem of Syria. Second thing, he started to bring his country story to be more important for others. So this is an example of how we as economists can solve lots of problems by observing our society and seeing things in different ways. So observe, this is what you advise you. Absorb, try to apply, try to analyze and evaluate things, try to create and reflect things so that you can have what we call a stratification journey, which is a journey that is different than other journey that create a difference in our life. By active participation, by field visits, by networking, by surveys, by reflections, we can create an inspired economy where we can change our countries from growth economy to development economy to inspiration economy, which is one of the main incentives of inspiration economy, that this country or this society will be ability to discover, to excite its people, to engage its people in its changes, and make our economy much trusting and self-initiating, and we will be used to changing our habits in a different ways using different techniques. Finally, I wanted to tell you that one of the things that we are using formulas in order we want to move our societies to be more inspired and more competitive. We use a formula, we call it overall inspiration competitiveness formula. This formula, we try to increase the availability of things by percentage. We try to, again, increase the outcome, the effectiveness of things, and we try to increase the efficiency of things when we do it, so that we become much stronger society, the society that can solve, as I said earlier, different problems relevant to housing, healthcare, security, quality of life, lifelong learning, by using the method of observation and by seeing what are the key changes that we can create from it, learning by doing. We can solve lots of problems, and we can enhance our ability to discover things before it create a crisis. And as I said, Bosnia is coming now. You are under different war. You fight it for your country, it's true, and you are a good example for lots of people around the world. But now you are under a different war. Your war is migration, brain drain, values. All of these are really challenges for you. And unless you economists, you lead your country to create a better, status of society, lots of people will leave the country, or the society will not be stable in the long run. What we'd like you to really think about is that this overall effectiveness by having the, as I said, raising the capacity versus demand is very important formula for you as economists to think about. Think about this formula and how you can apply it in real life. And you are very welcome to ask us if you have any question. Okay, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, me and Dr. Adunia are willing to answer any questions for that. No questions? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. So we wish you all the best, inshallah. Thank you.
Ej, samo da znate, ja se čuo da, ajde, možete slučajno, možete pauzu, što je to?